Hey everybody, it's Mark Schultz here, and we are live with another LinkedIn Live focused on recovery in aviation. Thanks for joining us. Hey, I'm here today with my co-host, Larry Little, and Larry is retired Boeing leader in digital transformation. Welcome, Larry. Glad to have you with me today.
Hey, Mark. Good to be with you again today on our continuing discussions on recovery in aviation. Really excited.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, with all the social distancing and the touchless activity and, digital access, we have narrow margins and we're all looking for efficiencies out there today. And what we're looking for is a new normal, and in this live discussion, I wanted to remind you that we're going to have a live interview today with a guest, which I'll introduce in a minute. And you're going to have an opportunity to be able to comment and to be able to ask questions. And we'll have a live discussion with our guests today on the program. And we're really going to be focusing on what's happening now and what do I do and what are the factors for success. And so I wanted to invite you, if you would, to help us out and to share this broadcast so we can get a maximum amount of exposure from people out there today. And remember, it's live, and so you will have the opportunity. Just put comments down into the live broadcast, and we will see them here on the broadcast and have an opportunity to be able to discuss your questions. But the real main focus here today is that we are enthusiastic about recovery in aviation, and we want to present a positive view, and my business will not be a casualty.
Mark, things are so dynamic that every day we read so much good news and so much bad news. But I think every day I see more and more positive news, people looking forward about how we're going to recover from where we've been over the past 90 days.
Yep, absolutely, Larry. Thanks. And here with our special edition, the midweek edition of Recovery in Aviation, I'm pleased to introduce Sander de Brie, and he is the founder of EXSYN, and he's based in the Netherlands. Welcome, Sander.
Hi, Mark. Hi, Larry. Pleasure to be here. And I think it's a really cool thing that what you guys are doing. I've been keeping track on some of your past broadcasts as well, and yeah, I'm excited that you asked me to join this one.
Fantastic. I'm glad you could join us. Hey, can we just kick this off by telling us, what's your position and what is EXSYN doing in aviation today?
Yeah, sure. So, as you announced, I'm the founder of EXSYN Aviation Solutions, and I would say I'm in the fortunate position to be involved in a lot of cool projects in our company. EXSYN itself is basically working on various different digital projects in airline maintenance and engineering. Personally, I'm involved a lot in some of our development activities, some of our R&D, some of our more operational things as well. Looking at what we do, ranging from data management, data analytics, automation, which I guess we will cover a bit on today as well. It's interesting times.
Yeah, it really is. And so, hey, if I could just capture for a second what you just said, then would I be able to say that EXSYN is really digital solutions for maintenance engineering in the aviation industry? Would that be an accurate capture of what you do?
Yeah, that's an accurate capture. Internally we always say that we're kind of active in 4 different verticals within that space of maintenance and engineering. One of them being aircraft data, the other one being analytics, automation and integration being the third one, and then generic support towards airlines in this digital domain.
Yeah, that's great. I appreciate your guys' expertise in the industry, and that's why we wanted to have you, on board. So before we go into our discussion here now, I wanted to remind our viewers here today that we would really appreciate it if you would share this broadcast so that we can get as many people on board as possible. And remember, we are monitoring questions here live, and so if you enter comments into the box below, you will have the opportunity to be able to interact with us directly. So let's kick off this discussion and let's talk a little bit about current events. One of the things that we've seen a little bit of an uptick. I saw in the news yesterday there was a little bit of an uptick in traffic in Europe, and so I was wondering, Sander, if you could kind of give us a feeling on what's happening in your region right now. Are you seeing any change in current events and uptick in traffic in your region at all?
Oh yeah, for sure. Personally, I live not that far away from the Amsterdam airport, and I can literally see the change on a day-to-day basis. And even today, there was noticeably more air traffic than there has been in these last several weeks. I do think that still the majority of it is cargo related, where you even have your typical passenger aircraft that are being repurposed right now for cargo flights. But there's definitely an increase in traffic. I think I picture the other day with some of the departure and arrival signs on some of the airports, where the flights announced on there had doubled from a couple of weeks back. Yeah, still not ones you are used to, but slight increases are a positive sign.
Yeah, that's great news. Hey, Larry, you're based in Seattle area. What are you seeing happening in the U.S. and Seattle right now?
Well, Mark, every day, like I said, it's a really dynamic situation, and every day I think we're seeing more and more efforts by airlines to kind of market how they're keeping the airplane clean, and more airlines starting to fly again, mainly domestically, but and I think the international flights that we've talked about are a ways off. But certainly we're seeing airlines trying to find a way to fly domestically right now.
Yeah, so that it's really good news, because I know that we're all looking forward to that place and time when more airplanes start moving, and there's different factors that are really feeding into that. And if you take a look at one of the other things to consider, is that everybody's worried about operating cash, and they're worried about the ability for the airlines to be able to make it through this hard time. And I noticed another story in the news here yesterday that different airlines, Qantas, for example, one of them, got some additional funding. But I've been seeing this really all over the place. I mean, I've been seeing, funding going to different airlines and operators from different sources. I mean, what have you guys seen out there today?
Well, it's been really interesting to watch, the governments step in and really try to help airlines across the globe, and I think that's really what it's going to take. I think it's always fascinating to me the amount of money that airlines burn on a daily basis. It's just staggering. It's just staggering, and to see government step in and help, whether it be U.S. or Middle East or Europe, and it's great to see that happening.
Sander, we've been seeing a lot of news about operators in Europe that are struggling, and we've seen a few of them actually go out of business. But have you seen any positive influence on some of the operators there, like with the infusion of cash or funding or aid or things like that?
Oh yeah, I mean, right now there are vast amounts of money being made available by local governments to their national flag carriers, which I guess from a job perspective and from an airline's perspective is a good thing. What we do see here as well is that there are some counter movements to that. You see some large airlines that do not receive that state support potentially going to court to over, let's say, illegal state support of some airlines. So that might still pose an interesting dimension to that discussion. But right now in the intermediates, you see vast amounts of money from governments pouring into airlines, just to make sure that once things are picking up again, airlines are able to quickly get back to certain operational levels.
Yeah, I definitely think we're going to see consolidation, and we're looking at some operators going out of business. But the good news is that we're seeing a lot of countries and governments and private funding sources jumping in to make sure that these airlines can continue to operate in this environment. Hey, one of the other things that I've seen is I've seen actually some operators, there are some of the short haul operators coming out with new routes. And I just saw this news story last night. Wizz Air, they've added 5 new routes to Abu Dhabi. And it actually turns out that I had 2 conversations with people in the UAE this morning before this broadcast. And they were actually presenting an encouraging, view of things there. That there was actually some movement. There was some cargo movement and some additional movement that was happening in the UAE. Have either of you seen any positive activity of growth in any airlines at all at this point?
From my standpoint, just this morning, Qatar announced that they're going to be flying and they're going to be flying a lot more international routes beginning in June, which is, right around the corner here. And I think it was like 21 additional flights to US, to Europe, and to Asia. So really, looking to governments to be able to open it up so the airlines can start flying again.
Yeah, I think I read that Qatar was opening up 80 new flights a day or something like that, but it was a big number.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Hey, next thing is I wanted to just point out that we've seen some efforts by the airlines to really put efforts into making the flying public be comfortable with going back into the airplanes and flying on the airplanes. And we've seen some U.S. carriers do this, but just last night I saw this story come out, which said that Air Canada launched a new program, their Clean Care program, to reassure travelers. And I'm sure that both of you have seen efforts being made by the airlines to increase the confidence of the flying public. Sander, have you seen things in Europe that are going on that is trying to help the flying public have more confidence in their ability to be able to go back onto an airplane again?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, almost daily in the news here, you see either news articles or short movie clips showing on how airlines are either maintaining and storing their aircraft right now, or how air conditioning systems in aircraft work. So just to reassure the public on the low risk that actually exists of air within aircrafts being contaminated, and how the spread of germs and bacteria is actually reduced to a low level within aircraft. So you kind of see a broader, let's say, program of informing the general public on safety and how well aircraft or air conditioning systems on aircraft are actually kept.
Yeah, absolutely. Larry, I think you mentioned to me some things recently too that you saw with other carriers that are focused on that as well. What have you seen, Larry?
You guys, okay. So yeah, thanks, Susan. It's really that suitcase packed to suitcase unpacked experience. It's not just the airplane, it's that whole experience. And just yesterday, the director of Heathrow, was doing an interview, and he talked about, we go through a lot of security at the airport, and the security is, mainly for safety. We could be going through the same thing for health, that you would go through a health screening at the airport, to really mitigate some of the social distancing in the terminal and within the airplane, and to make passengers feel more comfortable.
Yeah. So we're definitely seeing a lot of changes in the industry at this point in time. And, what I'm finding by talking to people all over the world is it's definitely affecting our market. All right. And so, I wanted to kind of turn this discussion now, toward Sander, back toward you, toward EXSYN, is it, how is the reshaping of this market really affecting your business? I mean, what does it really mean to your company and to your customers? How is it impacting you guys right now?
Yeah, well, in the current situation, where it has impacted us mostly is that basically from one day to the next, we went into a complete virtual mode of cooperation with our clients. Prior to that, we used to do a lot of on-site work with our airlines, so really physically being with our counterparts and our partners within the airline itself. Obviously, due to travel restrictions and health safety measures, that is not possible right now. However, we do like to continue with our activities with our clients, with our airline partners. So we went into a full virtual mode of cooperation, which, of course, we all needed to get used to that a little bit in the beginning, but things are running quite smoothly right now. So I'm happy to see that. So yeah, I guess it's the virtual way of working, and if I look at it from a longer-term perspective and the way how it will impact our business, to a large extent will depend on the market dynamics itself.
Yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see if some of the processes and tools that we're using today, like Zoom or this video stream, will work their way into maintenance, and this will be the way that people, we're learning how to work virtually from home, and it's going to be interesting to see how that translates into getting airplanes back in service and to doing maintenance.
We definitely are seeing a a faster movement forward, an acceptance of digital by people, as a result of this. I mean, we've been forced to work digital and work more virtually. And so the end result is that it's really increasing the acceptance by people. I would agree with both of you right now. Yep. Hey, guys, I wanted to move to the next question, and sort of the next idea I had was, Sander, how is that really affecting the products and services that you offer to your customers? So you're having to change the way you work, all right? But now, how is that affecting the types of products and services you offer to your customers?
Yeah, that varies a bit, dependent on I would say the type of service or the type of product that the airline uses with us. If I look at some of our activities in the aircraft data management space, we actually see a acceleration for us as a company, mainly resulting from a lot of these aircraft data management initiatives, either having a cost driver benefit or a regulatory benefit. So the airlines will need to do these kind of activities. If I look at I would say the more advanced activities, looking at robotic process automation, for instance, you see an increase in interest, definitely, but still a kind of general question existing on how this could benefit airlines, and particularly maintenance and engineering divisions, once they get to grips with this new reality. So there's a lot of guiding, a lot of explaining happening from our side right now towards senior executives within airline maintenance and engineering on how a variety of digital initiatives could actually fit into a long-term strategy, even under these new circumstances.
Are you finding more acceptance, from people at this point? I mean, is the acceptance of that increasing?
Yes, to a certain extent, definitely. Acceptance increasing in that sense that the cost benefit is becoming a more dominant discussion. So the basic calculation of, if I bring in this particular software tool or this particular technology, what will that do to my bottom line, either in terms of efficiency and from that resulting cost savings, or in terms of me being able, as an engineering company or as an airline engineering division, being able to stick to my processes that I need to manage. On the other hand, there's also a reluctance to invest right now from airlines, right? So it's difficult to get approval to reel in new technology, to reel in new software, unless there's a really clear business case underlying the justification of that spend.
Hey, Sander, you mentioned something about automation. And I think, anything we can automate really addresses two things. It addresses mistakes in compliance, and it addresses maybe hands-on labor or touch labor. What are some things that you see around maybe automation in the maintenance space that could make a difference?
Well, several different areas. Interestingly, we see, and this was already post COVID-19, we already noticed RPA being adopted faster within what we would call back office processes. Think about your management of maintenance programs, your technical library management, your planning of maintenance work packages. Interestingly enough, what this new reality might bring as an additional argument is that by further applying robotic process automation, we could get to the point where a lot of this manual handover of documents and information that still happens a lot within maintenance engineering is being removed from the process, and obviously from hygienic viewpoints could have an additional benefit.
So, Sander, if I were to ask you to explain to me, in a short sentence, what is robotic process automation? How would you describe that?
Yeah, very simply put, it's basically a software that mimics user or human user actions on your computer. So let's say you're sitting by your computer, you're working with a particular software. RPA, or robotic process automation, is capable of completely mimicking whatever you are able to do as a human user, including decision-making logic up to a certain extent.
So in what kind of scenarios or what kind of business problems have you solved, through the application of RPA?
Yeah, well, I mean, the first area where we started in when it came to RPA was airline maintenance planning. So a process where for a vast amount of aircraft, maintenance planning activities needed to be done, that constitute a series of activities, a series of checks and balances that need to be verified, and ultimately result in a set of maintenance tasks that need to be performed on aircraft, and that process was completely automated by our RPA, by our software robots, from the point of determining which particular maintenance actions need to be performed on an aircraft at a certain point in time, to the point of those tasks actually being able to be performed by engineers with the materials that they need and tools that they need, etc. And that is just one example.
So what kind of a business impact, what were the results of that? I mean, did it make a difference or not?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, ultimately, if you look at the bottom line effects from that, prior to that software robot, or that virtual employee, as we sometimes call it, arrived in the team, you had a planning team of 4 or 5 different planners that basically had a daily task in preparing all these things for them. Once the software robot came in, it could basically take care of all those activities. So at that point, directly freeing up those 4 or 5 different maintenance planners to directly focus on the more value-add activities. And this is also one of the bigger advantages that we see from RPA. I mean, obviously, it's quite easy to make that headcount calculation, right? Saying, okay, if I can save 4 or 5 different planners, that is X amount bottom line cost savings. However, what we've actually noticed over several different years of implementing those RPAs is that the bigger value add for airlines actually exists in freeing up their human capital, if you will, their human resource workforce, for more value add driven work rather than the mundane daily repetitive stuff that they have to.
Wow, Sander, that is just really cool. I think that's such a novel concept and just really cool at it. And it addresses so many things, efficiency, compliance or mistakes, if you will, not as much touch labor, that's just fantastic.
Yeah, I think it has some really tremendous.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, it has some really tremendous opportunities. I mean, if we were just to brainstorm for a second here amongst us, what other places is there opportunities to apply RPA kind of, concepts?
Well, one of the areas that's I would say in the short term that we are actively, not just looking into, but where we see a huge appliance is in consolidation of aircraft data and aircraft records. And the automated validation of that. I mean, it's although it's a sad consequence of it, it's inevitable that some aircraft will need to be retired or will need to be phased out prior to their original schedules. And that activity comes with certain responsibilities on the airline in terms of aircraft records consolidation and making sure that the aircraft is returned to a lessor according to agreements. This is a perfect opportunity, or this is the perfect process for RPA, basically, in order to fully automate that records consolidation and that validation, basically. And this is just one of the areas. And if you look at the further back office processes within an airline, think about technical library management, think about logistics processes even. I mean, the simple of purchase orders, of repairs orders, all those different activities, they would all be ideal candidates for RPA.
That records management one is a really good one, and a lease return. You guys know this, but you lose one repair record and you have to go and take that repair off and redo it and recertify it. Man, that's a lot of money, and you can close that business case really quickly by having some good records management.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, there's some figures out there already post or pre-COVID that show us that on an average return of an aircraft, an airline is faced with a bill of close to $350,000 US. And I mean, just driving that figure down already by 20-30% is a huge sum. Whereas we actually know that RPA, the way how we apply it, can even drive that figure down significantly more.
And it also probably can impact getting these airplanes that are parked in the desert back in service a little bit quicker.
Yeah. Of course, RPA can't turn the wrench, right? So, I mean, the actual hands-on maintenance activities on the airplane will still need to be done by human engineers. But a lot of the preparation that goes before that, is something that RPA is more than able to take care of.
Wait a minute, Mark. I thought you showed a graphic that had a robot with a wrench in her hand.
Who knows? maybe that'll be next. Yeah, right. Well, it looks like you're applying this RPA to a lot of different areas, and I think that many times people don't quite really understand what that means, and so that's why I wanted to spend a little bit of time with a conversation on it. And so that's an area you've been successful in moving your company out. That's really great. Yeah, I have a couple other questions. I know that you've done some data and analytics work in your company as well. What are you doing in that area?
Yeah, several different things. We've basically built up our out-of-the-box analytics environment, specifically catered to airline maintenance engineering. So we're looking into reliability management, so aircraft fleet reliability. We're doing some things around component failure prediction, and some organizational KPIs like logistics, engineering and maintenance KPIs, engine health monitoring, those kind of things. Okay.
And so when we're all looking for efficiencies that exist out there today, that's definitely going to be a way to do a better job of managing our workforces, is to also be focusing on, better analytics, better optimization of our workforce, and, predictability with maintenance and all the things that go around with data and analytics. Are you finding that to be a growing field for you as well?
It's definitely a growing field. I mean, it all ties back to providing airlines with tools, knowledge, and expertise to drive value from their data, and whether that is the data itself or the underlying processes that produce that data. And there's just a vast amount of value that can still be driven from that. And analytics perfectly fits in that because I mean that gives you insights in how your organization is performing, where you have optimization potentials. It gives you insights in your aircraft reliability, in your fleet reliability, which can even tie into fleet decisions, right? I mean, which aircraft should I keep in my fleet? Which aircraft is technically a better candidate to be phased out from my fleet? So all of these business decisions can be supported with analytics, with other digital solutions.
Yeah, you mentioned making decisions about which aircraft to keep. We're seeing a lot of aircraft on the ground right now, and we've heard a lot of discussion about some of those aircraft will never fly again, or they won't go back and fly within that same fleet. And we all know that the majority of aircraft out there today are leased. And so we would expect that there would be additional lease returns that would, of course, that are already resulting from this. I understand that you may have some ideas and solutions around supporting lease returns and to be able to optimize, or minimize cost or around that. Is there some thoughts you have around how you support lease return activity?
Yeah, and that ties into RPA again as well. It's basically a follow-on from that RPA capability, because it's one thing to automatically consolidate and validate all the different aircraft data and aircraft records. But once you get to the point of the actual redelivery of the aircraft, you need to think of things like the aircraft redelivery.
I think we're losing the feed on Sander a little bit.
Looks like we might be losing Sander a little bit. Must be too far away. Okay, let's have a bit of a discussion here about what people can do. in the process. We might be losing his feed there. But so one of the things that we try to do as part of this conversation. Let's see, Sander,
Yeah,
do we have?
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Looks like we had a little bit of an internet glitch there. But you know, I wanted to shift this conversation to really some practical things about what people can do. You know, we've talked about business factors in the market. We've talked about your business and what you're doing to help people. You know, let's talk about this a little bit. Is that, you know, what do we recommend that businesses do, and you know, how can we help people and employees and help businesses to recover faster? I mean, what are some thoughts, you know, that we have, guys, about some of these RPAs and supporting of lease returns and data analytics? You know, what can people on a direct level do to be able to help their businesses to move faster with some of these thoughts and ideas?
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be honest, I mean, people working in aviation, and I'm probably sure that you guys can testify to that as well. I mean, once airlines will need to start putting their aircraft back into service, everybody will put in their best effort and work overtime and do everything to get everything up and running again. I think it's more about the situation after that, and where the airline returns back to being a business and a company at the end of the day, and it will need to look at its bottom line profitability, and that will drive thoughts, discussions, and initiatives where companies will look into digital technology to drive down their operational expenditure in order to remain profitable.
You know, Sandra, I was thinking that the same thing is the airlines that adopt digital technology today, kind of in this downtime. You know, I realize there's a lot of financial concerns, but the airlines that take this opportunity to embrace some of the tools and processes that we're talking about every Wednesday and Friday, are going to be able not only to get their airplanes back in service quicker, but once their airplanes are in service, they're going to have the tools and processes to be more efficient.
Yeah, we are definitely driven to be, you know, more digitally oriented. We definitely are going to have to operate more efficiently, and so, you know, digital transformation is definitely part of the process moving us forward. You know, you guys both know that there's so much paper that's being used in the industry today, and you know, we're just going to have to be going away from that, and it has to be more than just scanning of paper and putting them into records and things like that. It really has to be more intelligent processes. And so the things that you're doing, Sandra, around, you know, data and analytics and supporting of lease returns, but mostly, you know, the discussion we had around RPAs about robotic process automations, you know, is really intriguing, because we need to find creative, new, innovative ways to be able to adapt to the circumstances around us. And definitely, you know, reducing cost and creating efficiency and freeing up resources to be able to work on higher value things, you know, is so important. And it's really amazing to see what you guys have done, you know, in that space. Hey, as we start to, you know, sort of move toward the end of this broadcast here today, I wanted to, Larry, give you a chance to say, you know, what are your overall thoughts about the things that Sandra has brought to us today? How do you think that fits into your view of digital transformation in the future?
Well, I just think some of the automation stuff that he's talked about it's just really just amazing. It's just really cool to think about the, you know, all the efficiencies that brings, and again, I keep saying the compliance piece of it, because there are mistakes that are made, and I just think that's just really exciting, a really exciting concept that frankly I had never thought about or heard about until, you know, Sandra, when we talked 2 or 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Sandra, if I could come back to you, let me give you the last word here. Is that you know, as far as RPAs are concerned, you know, you're obviously very passionate about that. That's been an important part of your business. What do you want to tell people about RPAs and why they're an important part of their future?
I guess the one thing that I would want to bring across is that RPA is not necessarily a replacement of employees, of human employees, but it's there to augment us in terms of freeing us from some of the repetitive and mundane stuff that we sometimes need to do, and in some cases, a lot of mundane and repetitive work that we need to do. So free us up from that, so that we as humans with our intelligence and our can focus on the more higher value add work that can drive success for airlines.
Yeah, well, good. Well, we're definitely going to need that going forward in the new efficiencies that we'll need, to operate in what we're calling the new normal. Hey, Sander, if someone wants to reach out and get in touch with you, what's the best way to get in touch with you in the future for them?
Yeah, I guess the easiest is to just drop an email at hello@exsyn.com, and through that it will end up in my inbox at some point in time. Okay,
well, that's definitely welcoming. Hello, yeah, good. So hello@exsyn.com. That's outstanding. And Sander is also on LinkedIn. So if you want to reach out to him on LinkedIn, he's available on LinkedIn. And Larry and I can also be reached at any time on LinkedIn. And quite frankly, if you go to Google and if you type in #DigitalAircraft, you'll find all of the things that we do and how to get in touch with us here at DigitalAircraft. So I want to give a call to action of all of our leaders in aviation. I want to invite you to join in with our shared enthusiasm and our message of recovery and be part of recovery in aviation. And I want to thank everybody for watching today and for being part of our broadcast. Larry and Sander, thank you for giving us such good information today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks, Sander.
Sander, thanks,
Mark. Thanks for having me.
That's good. So let's just sign off by saying fair winds and following seas to you. And I'll have a great day, and we'll see you on Friday at 9 o'clock, where we'll have another live broadcast. Have a great day. Bye.
Thanks, Mark.